Drones under $2,000 are for professionals or anyone who wants a really good drone. So today I'm going to reveal my top choices for drones in this price range. If you're looking for drones under $1,000 or $500, I made a video about that up there. So back to drones under $2,000. Today I'm going to give you my top 3 choices along with one we may see soon. Now keep in mind that there are a few accessories that you'll likely need when flying your drone, so keep that in mind for your overall budget. Also keep in mind that prices of drones are likely to change over time, so click the links below for the most up-to-date prices. Alright, so let's get into it. This category is professional drones, no doubt about it, from $1,000 to $2,000. Let's start with my overall favorite drone, the one I fly the most, and my recommendation in this category, the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. Sure, it only shoots 4K up to 30 frames per second, but personally, I find that this drone is so stable and gets such smooth footage, and when you're filming with the drone, it's so far from the objects that you're filming that you don't really need the 60 frames per second. 30 frames per second or 24 frames per second is plenty. Therefore, this isn't as big a deal as people make it out to be. It flies up to 31 minutes and has a really impressive 5-mile maximum range. It also has a Hasselblad camera with a 1-inch sensor with a 28mm lens, and it has the ability to shoot in 10-bit log video as well for those professionals wanting to color grade. Active track is much improved and has some cool new features like hyperlapse, boomerang, and asteroid mode. As you can tell, I highly recommend this drone. Now in a close second to the Mavic 2 Pro is the DJI Phantom 4 Pro version 2. Now one thing to consider is this drone is much bigger and less portable than the DJI Mavic 2 Pro, which is why I chose it second. However, a bigger drone like this often looks more impressive for clients and may be the drone that you want. It does have an advantage of shooting 4K up to 60 frames per second and also shoots in D-Cine-like mode, which to me looks slightly better than the footage from the Mavic 2 Pro. However, I'm just splitting hairs here. If you're a pixel peeper and you need the best drone for under $2,000, this is the drone. It also includes obstacle avoidance on 4 sides and is slightly faster than the Mavic 2 Pro, but only ever so slightly. Now with that said, personally, flying both of these drones a lot, I find the Mavic 2 Pro slightly easier than the Phantom 4 Pro because the Phantom 4 Pro drifts ever so slightly and it's just a little harder to control than the Mavic 2 Pro. So keep that in mind. So for that reason as well, I have to recommend this drone as second in this price category. Now last up is the Autel Evo 2 drones. The Evo 2 is definitely one of the top 2 consumer foldable drones in the market. So there are 3 different Autel Evo 2 drones, but they all have the same body. The only thing different are the cameras, and best of all, they are interchangeable. So you can buy each camera by itself and swap it out, which is great for consumers, professionals, and enterprise solutions, such as inspections and search and rescue, and many more uses. So when I mention the different Evo 2 drones, I'm essentially just talking about the camera and not the drone body. The Evo 2 drones are the Evo 2, the Evo 2 Pro, and the Evo 2 Dual. So they will all fly for up to 40 minutes, which in reality will be about 35 minutes. They have the ability to shoot native 10-bit 8K and 6K video with a processor able to handle those big resolutions. The Evo 2 has 12 obstacle avoiding sensors, which makes it similar to the first Skydio drone, the Skydio R1. They call it omnidirectional, which basically is true 360 obstacle avoidance, where the Mavic 2 has some blind spots that don't make a true 360 degrees. Also, the obstacle avoiding sensors on the left side and the right side of the Mavic 2 only work in active track and quick shot modes. So the Evo 2 will be better at avoiding obstacles as it always uses all of its sensors, even with its active track, which Autel calls Dynamic Track 2.0. Out of the box, the Evo 2 has less contrast than the Mavic 2, but in the app you can adjust that, of course, or in post-production. However, because the Evo 2 shoots 8K and the Evo 2 Pro shoots 6K, you can crop into the shot and it will still have good resolution. This is perhaps its biggest advantage over the Mavic 2 Pro. Now, one thing I was a little disappointed about, I wish the Evo 2 was smaller, but it's understandable considering it needed a bigger, more powerful battery for longer flight time, along with enough space to process that 6K and 8K camera without overheating. So it'd be nice if it were a little smaller, but having a foldable 8K and 6K drone is something I'm super pumped up about. The amazing thing that Autel has done with the Evo 2, which I've been saying for years, is the fact that you can buy the camera gimbal alone by itself and swap the 8K version for the 6K camera with the bigger sensor. So being able to buy any of the 3 camera gimbals by themselves is great because you can have one drone and multiple cameras, thus saving you a lot of space in your camera drone bag. With all that said, I would still choose the Mavic 2 Pro over the Evo 2 Pro because of the image color and contrast look better to me right out of the Mavic 2 Pro camera, whereas I'm not as thrilled with the Evo 2 colors. So for someone who doesn't want to spend time adjusting the colors in post-production, the Mavic 2 Pro will be better. And like I said earlier, the Mavic 2 Pro is the easiest drone to fly in this price category by a slim margin. Therefore, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend the Mavic 2 Pro. Now, by the time you're watching this video, DJI may release its FPV drone, which should be in this price category. Having an FPV drone will enable drone pilots to get shots they normally wouldn't be able to capture. And flying FPV will make you a better drone pilot. So I think this could be a great drone to have in your drone lineup. Maybe not as your primary drone, but one you could use for commercial and business purposes for certain types of creative shots. Now, speaking of becoming a better drone pilot, I made a free 30-minute video that reveals a lot of my best tips and secrets for making you a better drone pilot. I packed that video with helpful info for both beginners and experienced drone pilots. So you can watch that video now by clicking right up there or underneath this video in the description. That's it. I'm Breck Aramella, the Drone Pilot Pro, and remember, fly like a pro.